It's such a pleasure for me to be here with you this morning as I speak of feeling good, the gifts of the season. And as I'm standing here, I see several people that I know, a lot of people from the writing group that I go to on Wednesdays, and some of my fellow heart rhythm meditators. And as I see your voices, your faces, and the people that I've met here, I just would like to say that being here is, for me, one of the gifts of the season. So as I was thinking about this talk, the gift of the season, feeling good, I was remembering that when my daughter was in the 3rd grade, she made this plate for me for Mother's Day. And on this plate she had a poem. And the poem had qualities, characteristics that she saw in me. And one of the characteristics that she put on that plate was feeling good almost always. And as I was thinking about the title of this talk, I don't remember what she saw in me, what she said about me. But for me, I was really just thrilled that she saw that that's a possibility, a possible way to live your life. There's someone named Deborah Strangle of Sedona Soul Adventures. And Deborah speaks of finding joy and happiness through feeling good just 51% of the time. She says, you don't have to always feel good, and you don't have to aim for bliss or something over the top. It's just about finding ways to stay out of that 49% and down. And so I know that you all know the kind of things that help you to come back up when you're on a downhill slide or when you're feeling down. Those are things like, one of my favorite things is to write every night in a journal when I'm kind of on a downhill run, is to write 5 things that I feel grateful for that day. I put those in a journal before I go to sleep. Some other things that help are like petting a pet and feeling love for it and feeling its love for you. Listening to your favorite song or watching a movie or a YouTube video that makes you laugh. And today, going out into that sun as it was sparkling on the mesquite trees and shining on the water on the streets in my neighborhood. It's like, oh, how can you not see that beauty of nature and feel joy? So just being out after the rain and the clouds, I felt such joy and happiness by being out there. Deborah suggests that you do these things while you're feeling good, to make this a habit. So these are all great ideas, and I know that you have a lot of things that you could add to this list. But how do you achieve a sustained sense of feeling good? What is it that it takes to keep you up in that 51% or more? My sense is that it's tapping into finding access to that treasure at the core of your being and at the core of all of life. And that treasure is the quality called essence. In his book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield tells the story of the Golden Buddha. And it's a wonderful metaphor for this concept of essence. I want to read it to you because it says it so well. In this story, he's speaking of a trip of his to Thailand, where he and his wife went to lots of Buddhist temples, and he said they were all just starting to run together, but one of them stood out. And this is the one, and I'll just begin reading here. One temple left an indelible impression in our hearts and minds. It's called the Temple of the Golden Buddha. The temple itself is very small, probably no larger than 30 feet by 30 feet. But as we entered, we were stunned by the presence of a 10.5-foot tall solid gold Buddha. It weighs over 2.5 tons, and it's valued at approximately $196 million. It was quite an awesome sight, the kindly, gentle, yet imposing solid gold Buddha smiling down at us. In the room also was a glass case that had a large piece of clay about 8 inches thick and 12 inches wide. Next to the glass case was a typewritten page describing the history of this magnificent piece of art. Back in 1957, a group of monks from a monastery had to relocate a clay Buddha from their temple to a new location. The monastery was to be relocated to make room for the development of a highway through Bangkok. When the crane began to lift the giant idol, the weight of it was so tremendous that it began to crack. What's more, rain began to fall. The head monk, who was concerned about damage to the sacred Buddha, decided to lower the statue back to the ground and cover it with a large canvas tarp to protect it from the rain. Later that evening, the head monk went to check on the Buddha. He shined his flashlight under the tarp to see if the Buddha was staying dry. As the light reached the crack, he noticed a little gleam was shining back, and he thought that was very strange. As he took a closer look at this gleam of light, he wondered if there might be something underneath the clay. So he went and got a chisel and hammer from the monastery, and he began to chip away at the clay. As he knocked off shards of clay, the little gleam grew brighter and brighter. Many hours of labor went by before the monk stood face to face with the extraordinary solid gold Buddha. Historians believe that several hundred years before the head monk's discovery, the Burmese army was about to invade Thailand. The Siamese monks, realizing that their country would soon be attacked, covered their precious golden Buddha with an outer covering of clay in order to keep their treasure from being looted by the Burmese. Unfortunately, it appears that the Burmese slaughtered all the Siamese monks, and the well-kept secret of the golden Buddha remained intact until that fateful day in 1957. As we flew home, I began to think to myself, we're all like the clay Buddha, covered with a shell of hardness created out of fear. And yet, underneath all of us is a golden Buddha, a golden Christ, or a golden essence, which is our real self. Somewhere along the way between the ages of 2 and 9, we begin to cover up our golden essence, our natural self. And much like the monk with the hammer and the chisel, our task now is to discover our true essence once again. So this story about this essence is really what I believe our task is. And that's uncovering and living from that natural golden part of ourselves, our essence, that Buddha that lives inside of us. Essence is like a prime number. It's something that can't be broken down. And like the wind, it can't be seen or contained, but you know it by its effects and the consequences of it. We can say words that point to essence. Some of the words are like being, bliss, being in the now, connected to everything, bonding. We can see it in children, in their purity and their innocence. We describe animals by their essence. And today, as I was driving here, there was this wonderful thing on the back of a van. There was a sticker that was a dog bone. And on the dog bone, it said agility. And I thought, wow, this is a great thing for me to see this morning, because I instantly knew that they were speaking about an essence of a dog as it's so agile and chases after the bone and catches it. And all the joy that comes from that the dog has as it pursues that. When we're in touch with our essence, and we all have it, we can see it in ourselves, we can see it in other people, we can see it in a project that we might be doing. When we tap into that essence, it feels like a key has been turned in the lock inside of us. We gain this sense of knowing, this sense of becoming the experience. Sometimes people call it being in the zone. We feel more awake and aware than usual. We feel very open and expansive and vital. And I'm guessing that right now you may be thinking back to some times when you felt essence, when you were really in touch with that golden part of yourself. Most of us go in and out of essence, but some people are totally unaware of their essence. They think that we're really our habits and our thoughts and behaviors, the things that we do, our personality. And that's true, but underneath that, all of that is a presence that we can't perceive with our intellect, with our emotions, or with our senses. Essence emerges naturally at times that are a stopping point, when life brings us to the immediacy and the power of the presence, of the very present moment. One of those times is when you fall in love. Another time is what happened for me this morning, being in nature and just seeing the beauty of the sun. It's at a time of birth, when you're either attending the birth or you're giving birth. It's also when you're saying goodbye to cherished ones or to loved ones or pets. And I know that much of that is going on in Newtown, Connecticut. The Dalai Lama says that we train ourselves to be happy, free from guilt and fear and other limiting emotions and beliefs. And we can do that without compromising our ability to survive. Maybe by that he means that we can train ourselves to be happy 51% of the time. He has a simple practice that I really love. When he's speaking to someone, he's breathing in and out and thinking, may you be well, may you be happy. And he says that when he does that, he feels happier. He feels less negativity, and there's a higher energy for him for longer and longer periods of time. And I would say that when he does that, he tunes into his essence, and he makes it part of his life. And just like Deborah, he says that this can cause you to be successful in all areas of your life. Another way that we can tune into our essence is through our gut feelings. And when we are in touch with our gut feelings, it can lead us to our essence and the essence of someone else or of a situation. Tuning into this sixth sense can lead to feeling good. And not only feeling good, but you can really feel exhilarated when you've got it, when you can see, and when you can see that the results of having listened to your intuition. When I have a problem or an issue, something that's come up for me that I want to figure out and I can't solve it, it's something kind of difficult, I like 3 questions. And so I'd like to present them to you this morning as a way to tap in, what's the core of this issue for me? What is it really at the heart of it? What's the essence there? So I'd like you to think of a situation that's either difficult for you right now or that's been difficult for you. Just take a minute and think of that. And then I'm going to help you move into these questions that point to your essence, to your core. And so when I ask these questions, I'd like the very first answer that comes up for you. That's your inner wisdom responding. That's the response of your essence. So as you think about this issue, ask yourself the question, what would calm do now? What would peace do now? What would relaxation do now? These answers are always so surprising. They don't emerge from your mind. They emerge from inside of you, from that inner wisdom. Some examples, they can go from all over the map. Some examples of when you say, what would calm do now? It's like, maybe it would say, speak your truth. Or maybe it would be, set limits. Say no. Open. But you'll know it's the essence of calm because when you think those words, there's this feeling of calm that comes. Or for peace, it might be still, listen, forgive, make that call. For relaxation, it might be take action, or it might be still. So this is a wonderful process, and when I do this and I ask myself these 3 questions, it's as if then the whole problem changes for me. It becomes this inner kind of journey, a lesson that's there somehow to teach me to move more in tune with my essence, with who I am, and to act from that place where I'm lined up body, mind, and spirit. So wisdom that emerges inside of you is really part of what essence is about. And your body also can give you a key to essence as a physical sensation or an emotion. So if you think of a choice that you have to make, you can think of that choice and just as you're thinking of it, think, well, does my body open or does it contract? If it contracts, as you think of what you might do, then you probably know that's not a good thing for you to do. If it opens, then there's like this, yes, go ahead. It's the right thing for you. Moving your attention to the center of your chest, your heart center, you might be guided to do really unexpected things, like rest or do nothing. Be still. Residing at the heart of you helps you to know your essence. So all the things that I've said today can be used for you to find your essence and to find the gift of feeling good 51% or more of the time. And they all have the same thread running through them. They all have one thing in common, and that's to move from your mind to your heart. When you're in your heart, you will ultimately feel good and experience your essence. I teach a practice called heart rhythm meditation, and it's based on the book Living from the Heart by Karan and Susanna Baer. And this method is a way of applying your heart to everyday life so that you can really move in essence more and more. And when you get out of tune, it gives you so many tools and paths and ways to tune your heart back up to essence. Like transcendental meditation, in heart rhythm meditation, we begin by paying attention to our breath. But then, the next thing that we do, rather than paying attention to our heart, to our mind, is we pay attention to our heartbeat. And as you move into paying attention to your heartbeat and your breath, and you synchronize those two activities together with each other inside of your being, then that allows you to move inside of you, to move into the heart of your heart, and feel the essence of yourself, and feel the essence of all of life. This allows you to feel not only your heart qualities, but it allows you to feel the heart qualities of everyone that you come into your life. There's many practices in heart rhythm meditation, but there's a very simple one, and that one is to simply breathe in and out of your heart. And so as you do that now, just breathing in your heart, in through your heart, you can bring that inhalation clear back up against your spine, and then let the breath go out from in front of you. Just send it out. And you can breathe someone that you love or that you care about. You can have them in front of you, and you can breathe them in. So from their heart, as you inhale, just inhaling from your heart, from their heart into your heart, and then exhaling back. And I loved it today when Rami was talking about Newtown, Connecticut, and she said, we send our hearts. This is a way that you actually can send your heart. There actually is energy that will ride on your heart through essence and send love or whatever it is, compassion, calm, peace, tenderness, whatever it is, mercy, you can send that on the breath of your heart. So as you move down from your mind into your heart, if I were the Dalai Lama doing that, I might be saying, from my heart, breathing in, may you be well. And breathing out, may you be peaceful and at ease. This practice is very, very simple, but it's very profound. And it can open you to a much deeper awareness of life and way of living. It's fun to try this out on a walk. If you do this to a saguaro, if you're standing in front of a saguaro cactus, just breathe in that saguaro and breathe back to the saguaro and just see what happens. They're such wonderful, wonderful plants. Confucius is quoted as saying, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. John Burroughs captured the result of living in your heart in this quote that I have from him. To find the air and the water exhilarating, to be refreshed by a morning walk or an evening saunter, to be thrilled by the stars at night, to be elated over a bird's nest or a wildflower in spring. These are some of the rewards of a simple life. And all of this leads to living life, as my daughter said, feeling good almost always, not only during this season, but at any time in your life. Finding the ability to tune into your essence and the essence of those that you're in relationship and whatever experience or project you may be involved in. These are wonderful keys for us all to feel good. 51%, who wants 51%? I want to feel good as much as I possibly can. And these are tools to tune you back up, to tune your heart, so that you can really find your essence and live and move in that presence more and more in your life. So thank you very much.